Good evening, everyone. Um, we are reading chapter 22 today, but let's pray first. Thank you, dear Heavenly Father, for giving us and helping us get through today, Lord, for being with us, for strengthening us, for giving us your wisdom and your guidance. Forgive us where we failed you, Lord, and lead us into the path of righteousness. Father, I thank you and I praise you for each and every person on here, Lord, that listens now and that will be listening later, Lord. I thank you and I praise you. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay. I'm going to, we actually are in our last stretch of things. We have after this one, we have two more. We have 23 and 24, and then we're all done. Okay. It's, so, chapter 22, following after God's heart. My soul follows close behind you. Psalm 63, verse 8. If you and I are meeting for the first time in this book, you haven't yet visited my friend Judy's garden. In loving God with all your mind, I described the planning, and planting Judy did. Now, these years later, I wish you could see her lovely and serene country garden. Judy has added much more for her visitors to owe and awe over. One of these additions is the arbor that her white iceberg roses have claimed as their own. Whenever I stand on Judy's porch, my eye travels first to that sweet arbor, a quaint reminder of times gone by. The urge to scroll down the pressed gravel path that passes through its magical opening is irresistible. A delight to the senses, this gracious rose arbor provides gentle fragrance, cool shade, and refreshing beauty. And I am never alone as I approach. Birds, butterflies, and the neighbor's cat are also drawn there. All creatures, great and small, love Judy's rose arbor. Needless to say, something this lovely is certainly no accident, and it didn't happen instantaneously. Much time and attention went out into creating this lovely garden retreat, and the time and effort continue. Judy works hard tending her arbor. I apologize. Judy works hard attending her arbor, first faithfully feeding and tilling and watering the ground in the cool early morning stillness. Then, retrieving her sharpened shears from the storage shed, Judy begins the painstaking routine of cutting away unruly growth, pruning off unnecessary shoots, and removing dead blossoms. Performing this surgery, removing anything that would hinder the fermentation and development of her roses, is a crucial task. The meticulous training still remains to be done, and Judy does this by tacking, tacking down and wiring her roses, interweaving the loose branches and blossoms, carefully directing and redirecting their growth. People enjoy a place of great beauty because of Judy's labor of love. And dear friend and follower after God's heart, people enjoy the beauty in our lives, our families, and our homes when we work in the same diligent and deliberate way Judy does. When you and I take seriously our assignment from God, He blesses our obedience, and the resulting growth is astounding. Oh, there are pleasant tasks and bright moments, but there is also plain old hard work that may be unexciting but gives birth to God's blessings. As we end this section, committed to following hard and close after God, as David did in Psalm 63:8, and doing his will, Acts 13:22, let's consider what we can do to nurture, prune, and train our hearts so that we can enjoy this lovely fruit God intends his people to know when they honor him. What can we do to place ourselves before God so that we know his beauty and serenity in our hearts and under our roofs? Plan your day. Making God's plan for our lives a reality calls for planning on our part. I guess I'm tired than I thought I was. Sorry. The first challenge we face is gaining control of one day today. We must tackle the day at hand. And as I mentioned before, I find it helpful to consider each day's agenda at least twice. First, the night before, when you climb into your wonderful welcome bed, take your planner with you, or a 3x5 card, or a to do list, or a legal pad, whatever. As you sit there relaxing, list in chronological order the concrete events of the next day. Any appointments, meetings, or classes, the carpool, school, work schedules, and breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Whisper a prayer to God, asking Him to guide and bless the next day, His day, and then turn off the light. You'll find that these few minutes can reduce the number of surprises in the morning. Surprises like, oops, I forgot you needed a lunch. Now is that true? Now where is that dry cleaning? I can't believe I didn't cancel that dental appointment. And oh no, it's trash day and I forgot again. In the morning, welcome the day with the psalmist's words of praise. This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Psalms 118:24. Psalms 118, chapter 118, verse 24. Then take out a sheet of paper and get ready to create a plan for practicing God's priorities throughout the day. I use an 8.5 by 11-inch sheet of paper folded in half lengthwise. Begin by praying. Pray over your plans and priorities. What exactly should you pray about? Let me share some ideas by describing how I create a plan for practicing God's priorities. God, first I write the word God on one side of my folded paper and pray, Lord, what can I do today to live out the fact that you are the ultimate priority of my life? As I pray, God usually leads me to list certain actions like pray, read His Word, memorize Scripture, walk with Him, be aware that He is present with me minute by minute. I write it all down. Husband. Next, I write the word Jim. Again, I go to the Lord for help, asking God, what can I do today to let Jim know he is my most important human priority? And if you're not married, move down the list. At that point, for instance, God reminds me that I can choose to be up when Jim arrives home at the end of the day and to stay up throughout the evening. I can choose to be physically available to him. I can make plans for a special date night on Friday when the children are busy with their activities. And of course, I can sew on that button. Children, now it's time to pray. Lord, what can I do today for Catherine and Courtney to let them know that after Jim, they are more important than the other people in my life? What can I do to communicate each one individually how special she is to me? How can I show each of them my love? Again, if you don't have children, move on down the list. Many times the answer to these questions are sweet speech, kindness, a servant spirit, and no nagging. I just write down the answers and ideas. For instance, when my girls were toddlers, I scheduled specific times during each day to set aside all of their activities and have special time of playing or reading with them. Other ideas that came to me as I prayed about my girls included, as they grew older, selecting a special card for each of them and writing a love note, or picking up some fresh bagels as I come home from Bible study, or preparing a favorite snack for them after school, or surprising them by picking them up after school for a cola instead of having them come home in the carpool. Now that my girls are married, I make plans to communicate daily with each through email and send them good books as little surprise gifts to help them build their own homes and encourage them in their personal growth and interests. Truly, the loving and praying and planning never cease. And then there are the grandchildren. Well, you get the picture. Home. Everyone lives somewhere, including you, married or not. So land here and start praying because this one's for everyone. I shared earlier, praying about homemaking lifts out of the physical realm and transport it into the spiritual. So I pray, Lord, what can I do today regarding my home? What can I do today to make our home a little bit of heaven, our own home, sweet home? Something like be faithful in daily cleaning tasks will appear on my home list. Finish fully appears almost daily because it's a character quality and a discipline I'm working on right now, especially in the evenings after dinner when I am tired. I also write down special projects like pull out dead summer flowers to make way for fresh autumn ones and research a remodel self. I lay my life before God and pray, Lord, what can I do today to grow spiritually? In what specific ways can I prepare for future ministry? Also, always the word reappears. Exercise and and food selection show up often. Completing a Bible lesson, typing out quotations from a book I've read, and getting to bed on time or other items. This is truly and by necessity a diverse list that suggests a wide ranging activities and interests of life. Ministry. And Lord, I continue praying, what can I do today to serve and minister to your people? This is always the longest list as I write down people to call, friends and missionaries to write, lessons to plan, organizing, researching, writing, purchasing name tags, preparing food for church events or the ill, visiting the hospital. Opportunities for ministry are always all around us. Because this list is so long, I go one step further. I ask God to help me prioritize it by praying, God, if I could only do one of these labors of love today, which one would you want it to be? And if I could do two other activities. As I continually said, this book focuses on our top priorities, those God given assignments found in His Word. But I know, and certainly God does too, there are other facets to life. That's why I think of living out our priorities as being somewhat like an oil painting. The artist includes the elements of a painting, background, composition, subject styles. The Impressionist, however, discovered that dotting an entire completed canvas with spots of another color added sparkle to the picture. The same is true of our lives. We must follow all the rules and guidelines as set forth by God in the Bible, so that our lives will contain all the elements necessary for beauty. But God, who gives us richly all things to enjoy. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 17, blesses us with thoughts of color, with people, events, interests, desires, personalities, and challenges that add a unique sparkle. In this category, then, I list shopping for Christmas, browsing in a library or bookstore, getting together with a friend, planning another trip to visit one of my daughters, replacing a pair of shoes. Again, the list goes on and on. Its items are important but not urgent. Schedule your plans and priorities. Now I have my list and I can carry out this handy piece of paper around all day, or put it on the refrigerator door, or lay it on the kitchen counter, or tape it to my computer monitor. But items on the list only represent dreams and desires and convictions until we put them into practice. And scheduling helps us do just that. So at this point, I put the other side of my paper to use. It becomes my schedule for practicing my priorities for the day. This is round 2 in praying over and planning my day, a day I desire to live after God's heart. I begin praying again. Okay, God, when will I have my devotions? When will I meet with you in our special place? I then write devotions in a specific time slot on my schedule. And when will I sew on that button for Jim and plan our Friday date? I jot these down for precise times as well. And when will I get those blueberry bagels for my blueberry girl? Do these daily good housekeeping chores. Read and exercise even for 5 minutes. I ask the Lord when to do all these things He and I both want done, and I write them all into my schedule for certain times during the day. When my time of prayer and scheduling is over, I hold in my hand a master plan for the day, a plan that reflects my priorities, a plan that enables me to the woman after God's own heart that I desire to be. Wisdom always has a plan. Proverbs 21, verse 5. If you follow these steps of planning, praying, and scheduling, you'll soon discover how comforting it is to get up from your time of prayer with a clear plan for your day. That plan is most effective when it comes as a result of much care and prayer, when it comes as a result of committing your day and its activities to God for His glory, when it comes to seeking God for guidance on the good, the better, and the best. Having made this kind of commitment and having done this seeking, determine to stick to your plan, God's plan. Practice your priorities. Each day represents many opportunities and challenges to practice our priorities. One way to simplify your moment by moment decision making might be to assign your priorities these numbers. Number 1, God. Number 2, your husband. Number 3, your children. Number 4, your home. Number 5, your spiritual growth. Number 6, your ministry activities. Number 7, other activities. Let me show you how this works. Your children, number 3, have just arrived home from school, and you're praying and snacking and talking together about the day. The phone rings, it's not your husband. 2, which means it's either a ministry, number 6, a friend, number 7, or a salesperson. The decision is simple. You don't leave the number 3 priority to tend to the number 6 or 7 or even lower priority. Be sweet and kind, but firm, and be brief. Make arrangements for a callback. Quickly ask the salesperson to remove your name and number from his or her call list. Don't lose this important time with your children. Your number 6, a ministry knocks on the door and interrupts your time with your children. What are you going to do? Again, I learned to be sweet and be kind, but be firm and brief. Reschedule a visit for a time when the children are settled or busy with homework. Edith Schaefer suggests that you say something like this: I will see you later. Right now, I'm having a half an hour or hour with Naomi. You should use the name of your child when you say, I am talking to Debbie, your child. You are stating to yourself as well as to this person, this is a human being I have an important appointment with. Your child is a person, and children need to grow up knowing they are important to you, that their lives are valuable to you. Your husband, number 2, is home, and the house is quiet as you share a few rare minutes together. The phone rings. It's a woman needing counsel. Number 6, a friend who wants to chat. Number 7, or another salesman. The decision is straightforward, and you know it already. Be sweet and be kind, but be firm and brief. Reschedule the visit for a time your husband, number 2, is not home. These actions may sound harsh and heartless, like Judy cutting and training her roses on her arbor, but making these choices to live your priorities enables God to make your life a work of beauty. It's hard to make these choices, and yes, it can hurt, but they are necessary if our lives are to be what you and I and God desires them to be. But take note, this planning, as important as it is, goes out the window in a true emergency. When Jim's mother was hospitalized, for instance, all activities ceased as Catherine and her husband Paul and I came alongside her. You can definitely regard a true need like this as God's new plan for your day or 3 days. But our goal is to be discreet. Titus chapter 2, verse 5. Meaning women who are thinking things through and showing good judgment. A woman of discretion a woman of discretion thinks through her choices and the messages they deliver to her husband, her children, her neighbor. A woman of discretion thinks a situation through and considers all possible consequences, both good and bad. She weighs everything and after some time spent praying, waiting on God, seeking His wisdom, and getting godly counsel, makes the right decision. You and I can do the same as we follow after God's heart. Acquire God's perspective on your day. As I prayerfully prioritize the activities of my day, God grants me a glimpse of His will for all the days of my life and that day in particular. This prioritizing also gives me a passion for what I am trying to achieve with my life efforts. The passion has also been fueled by the following comments. I first heard at a women's retreat when I was a young wife, the mom of 2 preschoolers and about to enter the age 31 group. See below. Since that day I first heard these statements, they have motivated me to follow after God's plan for my life with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength. I want to pass these women's statements on to you and hope that they will help fuel your passion and vision for God and His calling to you. But let me first set the stage. A reporter interviewed 4 women and asked each of them what she thought about the golden years, the period of life after middle age traditionally characterized by wisdom, contentment, and useful leisure. Hear their thoughts and fears. Age 31, golden years. I have so much to do before then that I doubt I'll ever have them. I have to help my husband succeed. I want to raise our children decently to get them ready for a rough, tough world. And of course, I want time for me to find myself, to be my own person. Age 44. Only 20 years to go. I just hope we make it if we can just get the kids to college and on their own. If we just keep my husband's blood pressure under control and see me sanely through menopause, I'm just hoping we get there. Age 53. Doubtful. Sometimes I think our golden years will never come. My parents are still alive and need constant attention. Our daughter was divorced last year and lives with us again. Of course, she had a baby, and of course, my husband and I feel responsible both for her and our grandson. Age 63. We're supposed to be on the brink, aren't we? Aren't we? Well, we're not. I'll be frank, we thought we were saving enough to live comfortably ever after, but we haven't. Inflation has eaten it up. Now, my husband talks about deferring his retirement. If he does, so will I. We'll keep a house. We're keeping a house much too big for us. We're both unhappy about the way things have turned out. Sobering comments, aren't they? As you and I stand looking down on the quarter of time, life can appear so hopeless, so pointless, so futile. But for now, for God's vision, a godly perspective, it comes from a dear friend to whom I send a copy of what you've just read. Here's her inspiring response. Oh, Elizabeth, to treat each day as if it and it alone was our golden day. What a beautiful stirring of golden days become golden years. We would have to give back again to our Lord. Imagine being a woman who treats each day as if it and it alone is her golden day. Now that's a woman after God's own heart. When I thought about this, I said, that's it. Treating each day as if it and it alone is our golden day. And golden day is the how of practicing priorities, and it's also the why, the motivation and the perspective we need for practicing them. Practice, practice, practice. That's what I want for you and me. I want us to approach each day as our golden day, to switch metaphors. I want your life and mine to be like a stirring of pearls strung with day after day of precious days. If you desire a good life, focus on having good day, one good day, one quality day today. After all, as someone has observed, every day is a little life, and a whole life is but a single day repeated. So keep that focus on having a good day today, and at day's end, skip that single pearl, slip that single pearl onto your strand. The pearls on your strand will add up to a good life. But what if yours was a day of failures, a day of merely trying to survive, a day of taking shortcuts, a day of neglecting things you wanted to focus on? We all have those days. But thanks be to God who enables us to forget the day that is done, to reach forward the next morning, and to press on toward the goal, the pearl, again and again and again. Philippians chapter 3, verses 13 through 14. In His power and by His grace, we keep following after God's heart, no matter what. After all, every morning He gives you a fresh new day. His gift of a fresh, unspoiled opportunity to live according to His priorities. Furthermore, by exercising the privilege of confession, and because of Jesus' forgiveness, you have a clean start with the dawn. God's mercies are new every morning, and His faithfulness is great. Lamentations chapter 3, verses 22 through 23. So every morning, remember that your goal is simple. You want to have just one good day of living your priorities. Then keep focused on following God's plan for your life for just this one day. For just one day, try putting first things first. When such a focused day is done, you'll probably be tired as you drop into bed. I know I am. But you'll also know an unmatchable peace in your heart, a peace that comes from resting in the Lord and doing things His way, a peace that comes from knowing that because you lived out God's priorities for you, all is well under your roof. Why this peace? Because you sought the Lord and followed close after Him the whole day. The people in your life were loved and served out of the overflow of your full heart. Your home was cared for, and God's beauty and order reigned there in the refuge you created. You took care of yourself and grew as God stretched you in preparation for serving Him. And you did serve anyone and everyone who crossed your path. You reached out, looked out, gave out, and lived out God's priorities for a woman after His heart. And then there were the other things. Perhaps your dear parents needed souls at your place of employment, special friends, time with hurting neighbors, crafts to be made for giving away at the appropriate time, and on and on and on. Your golden day went as you looked to God for His guidance, wisdom, and strength, as you loved Him by faithfully obeying Him, and as you learned on Him during the challenges and trials of the day. It was indeed a full day, but oh, what a rich one. And yes, your body is tired, but oh, what a satisfying tiredness. And yes, it may not look like you've done much. There's no big splash, no headline, news, nothing to tell anyone about. But oh, the depth of the fullness you sense in your heart as God whispers to you, well done. As you finally stretch out in bed, wearily pull off the covers and sink your head into the waiting pillow, you can know you have slipped another pearl onto your strand. This costly pearl is the most magnificent prize awaiting a woman after God's own heart. The reward for living life God's way is immeasurably, unspeakably, indescribably wonderful. I'm struggling to find the words. So at the end of your day, your heart is satisfied and content. You have done the giving, the living, the following, and the loving. In return, God satisfies your longing heart and filled your hungry soul with His goodness. Psalms chapter 107, verse 9. The peace you sense is the satisfaction that comes from gladly being spent in doing God's will, from being a woman after God's own heart for just one day. Now let that one day, that one step, encourage you to stir in your daily pearls into a lifetime of living as a woman after God's own heart. Oh, that's it. I didn't realize it was done there. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. And remember, we only got 2 more chapters after this. I love you. God bless you.